Hey everyone, my name is Mercy and this is the Funny Pajamas YouTube channel. Welcome back to the channel. Thanks for clicking on this video. Now this is my April 2022 reading log. Now I did try out the April 30 and 30 challenge as such, and to be completely honest, towards the end of April, I sort of lost my impetus to read, and I lagged a bit there. I did manage to squeeze in, I think, 26 or 27 volumes, just shy of 30 volumes by 3 volumes, I'm guessing. So I think 3 or 4 volumes, I'm shy of 30. So I was unsuccessful in the challenge, but I did read a decent amount. A solid chunk of my this month's reading went to one particular series, which you will see moving on ahead. But before I go any further, please take some time. If you haven't done so already, please smash that like button. Don't forget to hit that beautiful red subscribe button. Become a subscriber to my channel, and of course don't forget to hit that bell icon so that you're notified every time I post something new. So with that down and out of the way, let's get down to this month's reading log. Starting off, like I said, a major chunk of this month's reading log went to one particular series, and that was Tokyo Ghoul Re. Now, I did read the original Tokyo Ghoul last month, so it is covered in last month's reading log, which I will leave a card linked somewhere on top so that you can go check it out. I'll also leave a link in the description. But in last month's reading log, I did read Tokyo Ghoul, the original series. So this month, I dedicated myself to finishing off Tokyo Ghoul Re. Now, I do have the box sets for Tokyo Ghoul and Tokyo Ghoul Re. I have an unboxing for the Tokyo Ghoul box set. I'll leave a card somewhere up there so you can go and check it out. So Tokyo Ghoul Re. Okay, now Tokyo Ghoul, I enjoyed Tokyo Ghoul. Now Tokyo Ghoul Re, I have a bit of mixed bag of reactions for Tokyo Ghoul Re. Starting off, the series did not start out very great for me with Tokyo Ghoul, particularly Tokyo Ghoul Re. The first few volumes, I felt a lot of the volumes were edgy. They were very, this is a very dark series. Okay, let me give you a brief synopsis straight off. I'll give you a synopsis of Tokyo Ghoul. So Tokyo Ghoul, we've got Ken Kaneki, who's our main protagonist, and he is turned into a half ghoul, half human through a series of circumstances, and he is coping to live with that in a world in which ghouls and humans live, and ghouls basically prey. They need to eat human flesh to survive, and so they feed off of them. They are a very they're a very aggressive species, but humans are on the majority. So they've got these organizations that hunt down ghouls, and they track down, hunt them down, imprison them, or straight out eradicate them. So there's this conflict between humans and ghouls going on, and though ghouls are on a massive minority, they are a massive threat. So the series basically explores what it means to be human. Is it just basically what you are? Is it your soul, your heart, just what it is? And Ken Kaneki as a character. Now, I did not believe the I heard a lot of talk about Tokyo Ghoul, and that Ken Kaneki is one of the most he's a very interesting character, and that he undergoes a lot of growth and character development, and I honestly didn't know where to put that. But after reading Tokyo Ghoul and Tokyo Ghoul Re, I do agree. I do believe that yes, Kaneki is one of the most compelling characters I have read. He undergoes a massive amount of character development, and he goes through a lot, and seeing it through his eyes, you see his struggles, what he's struggling to come to terms with. Am I a ghoul or am I a human? What do I live as? What he sides with, what he believes in, and how he reaches his goals, how he helps ghouls or how he helps humans, or the whole thing is a very compelling character study. And I do believe Kaneki as a character is very well done, very well written. How they explore his psyche, his beliefs, his feelings. And it's not just that, it's just his beliefs change over the course of time, and that's just basically what happens with anyone. The person you were when you were very young is most probably not gonna be the type of person you are when you are much older. You have much more different experiences. You've gone through a lot more. some very often people have radical change in views following things that happen in their life. So the person you were when you were very young, a child, you're probably not going to be the same person on certain levels as you are when you grow much older, when you've got more experience under your belt, when you've encountered other people, the way other people play into your life. And I thought that was brought out very well in Tokyo Ghoul as a series that is both Tokyo Ghoul and Tokyo Ghoul Re. Now straight off the bat, Tokyo Ghoul is not the first half is not an entire series. You have to read Tokyo Ghoul Re to actually get a proper ending, a proper conclusion to the story. So if you read only the first series, that is Tokyo Ghoul, that's the first box set, you're not going to get a proper conclusion to the series. To do that, you need Tokyo Ghoul Re. Now that aside, okay, let me also talk about the artwork. The artwork in this is amazing. It takes on at times a very scratchy look, which for the series works very well. It's got particularly towards the end, a lot of the sequences are very scratchy, are very roughly drawn, and for the sequences that they are, I think it lends itself to bring out that particular part of the story well. There are certain parts where the artwork is really polished. It's also got a bit of this watercolor effects and all that, and I thought that, the mangaka does a very good job switching between these two styles, between the scratchy rough look and at the same time the polished, the proper clean line work look. And I thought the way the mangaka switches between these two forms of art works really well for the story, and they do it in the proper places to bring out the effects, the emotions that are being expressed in that particular scene or in that particular part of the story really well. So I thought that was done very well. Now on Tokyo Ghoul Re itself as a separate contained story, like I said, I had a mixed bag of emotions, particularly when I was reading this. The first part of the series just did not do it for me. I found it is edgy. This is a very dark series. It explores some a lot of very dark themes, and it's not for the faint of heart. Me personally, as a person who tends to shy away from gore and from horror, I was able to stomach this, but the first part of the series was a little difficult for me, mainly because I felt a lot of the parts, the series was just edgy for the sake of being edgy, if you know what I mean. I thought they made some decisions to do some really edgy stuff, to do some really strong stuff, which I didn't think they needed to do it to get their point across. I felt it was just done for the sake of being, for being edgy. It wasn't really, it didn't impact me emotionally, or it didn't bring across the story would have been either way without including those parts in it. The story would have worked just fine without including such aspects to it. I don't know how to say it, but like I said, it was being a bit too edgy. There was no need for it to go that far, and that would kind of turn me off in the first few volumes. So I did have a difficult time reading the first few volumes, but once you get into the story, when you get past a certain amount, it does get interesting. Now, as with regards to the main villain, I felt the main villain in Tokyo Ghoul Re was a bit, their ending, the conclusion to their story was not, I thought they could have explored it a bit more. It was a bit abrupt to me personally, but I thought the ending tied up all the points really well, particularly with how they ended it. I thought it ended on a strong note. Like I said, the main antagonist, I thought their story arc was sort of, why they really did everything didn't really make much sense to me. It made sense on a certain level, but why would they go through all this just for that kind of boggled me. And I felt their ending came a bit too soon. They could have explored that person, or maybe they could have written it so that in maybe previous volumes they could have explored that person's motives a bit more. So I felt that the main antagonist ending sort of came a bit abruptly. Yeah, I think that's the word. The word was abrupt. their ending came abruptly. For everything that they were building up, I thought it ended, the antagonist's ending came abruptly, but the ending for Tokyo Ghoul Re was well panned out. On the whole, this is not a series that can be recommended for people who don't like very heavy stuff, who don't like the psychological aspect of things, who can't stomach too much gore. Now, I'm personally one who shies away from horror and stuff like that. So, particularly the first half of Tokyo Ghoul Re, I was like, is this really for me? Should I really read this? But I stuck with it, and for the ending and the conclusion they gave me, I was happy. I will rate Tokyo Ghoul, the original part, a bit higher than I would rate Tokyo Ghoul Re. But towards the ending, I enjoyed the ending part of it to some extent. It kept me hooked, particularly in the last few volumes. I was like, okay, how are they going to end it after this, And I was actually, towards the 15th and the 14th volumes, I was like, okay, is this going to end satisfactorily? Is it going to give me personal satisfaction that I have read this series, that I have stuck through with this series? But I'm glad that they did. I thoroughly, I will say I had the feeling of personal satisfaction when I read the ending, and for that this is not a series that is for everyone, and there are triggers there, so I do suggest be careful when you read this. It's not for everyone, like I said, but for me personally, I'm glad I stuck to it. Like I said, the first part of Re was not for me. I was having my doubts, but then I'm glad I stuck with it, because the ending really gave me a satisfaction, they tied in all the threads, each character was explained, each character got a satisfactory ending, even the small ones. Another thing I must mention, this is not the type of series that you can read volumes apart, which makes me glad that I binge read this series, because reading it continuously, like binge reading the series, is more the way to go, because there are so many plot points you need to know. Also, you cannot read Tokyo Ghoul Re separately without reading Tokyo Ghoul, because Tokyo Ghoul Re, towards the end, a lot of characters come in, a lot of characters play massive roles that were originally in the original Tokyo Ghoul series. So unless you read Tokyo Ghoul, you are not going to be able to make sense, particularly of the ending and a lot of crucial parts of Tokyo Ghoul Re. So you're gonna need to know, and also you need to pay attention to all the little characters here and there. So that's why this series lends itself to being binge read, which is another thing that I'm glad of. I'm glad I planned to read both these series, Tokyo Ghoul and Re, 1 month after, together, basically 1 month after the other, because I was able to retain whatever Tokyo Ghoul had, and what all the characters were, and what they played, and how they worked out, and where they were at the end of Tokyo Ghoul. I was able to retain that, so that's what made Tokyo Ghoul Re a much smoother ride. So basically, it's kind of the thing that you should read straight out. You should not go for it one volume at a time with massive gaps between volumes, because you're going to forget characters that are going to play important parts. Also, like I said, it would have been better if both these series were together, and they would have packaged it as, because you cannot make sense of Re, particularly important crucial parts, unless you've read the original Tokyo Ghoul. So I don't know, they go hand in hand. So unless you read one, you're not going to be able to make sense of the other. Also, like I said, the original Tokyo Ghoul is not a complete series, so you're not going to get a satisfactory ending unless you read Re. Okay, so that's something you need to keep in mind, and luckily for me, fate may have it, the manga gods willed it that I read both series in one go and together. So I was able to keep track of all the characters and all the plot points and where they were at the end of Tokyo Ghoul and how they play into these. So that's something I'm gonna straight out put it there for you guys. But on the whole, I will rate Tokyo Ghoul higher than Re by a good deal, because mainly the only thing that put down Tokyo Ghoul Re was the beginning part of it, which I felt it just did not do it for me. But personally, I'm glad I stuck to it, because I got the ending I wanted. I got a proper conclusion, and like I said, the word is satisfactory for me. So Tokyo Ghoul Re, not for everyone. I can't recommend it for everyone, and unless, like I said, unless you read Tokyo Ghoul, you're not going to get Re. So that's my 2 cents on it. I have gone on, I think I've elaborated a bit too much, but I knew I had to talk about it here. So yeah. Also, Toka plays a more major role in this series than she does in the original series, compared to how I originally thought it would be. Also, let me talk about the side characters. I thought the side characters were very well done in this series and how they play out. A lot of them, I didn't expect them to, make decisions that I thought that they did, or why they did those decisions. Neither did I expect the mangaka to take some of the side characters in the direction that they did, and I was questioning it, but I'm glad that they took them, because the side characters they're the perfect balance point. They don't dominate the story, they don't take away from our lead character. There's just the right amount of balance, which I do think the mangaka has done well. So yeah, that's my 2 cents on Tokyo Ghoul Re, and I guess Tokyo Ghoul too. So yeah, not for everyone, but personally I'm glad I read this, and I do believe it has rereadable capability, and after a certain time I will be revisiting the series again soon. Now I'm going to check out the anime. I did watch a bit of the anime. I stopped a bit in volume 1 because I was wondering where they'd take it, but then I'm going to give it a go again. So Tokyo Ghoul Re, yeah. So next up in my reading log, I have Love of Kill volumes 5 and 6. Now I have mentioned before that Love of Kill is kind of one of those things that you need to read through, because for me personally, I don't know why it was particularly with Love of Kill. I could not recall what happened the previous volumes. So I read volumes 5 and 6, but I had to do a reread of volume 4. And it was a bit worrying to me. This is, okay, the basic stories are two lead characters here. They are both in the, Chateau is working for an organization that rivals basically what our main lead character is doing, and they're on opposite sides of the balance, and they're supposed to be rivals. She's supposed to be hunting him, and but he's got something for her. He's got feelings for her. Now straight off, he always approaches her. He's like, he always helps her out and everything, and he seems to have romantic feelings for her. Now she doesn't know why. She sort of gives him the cold shoulder every damn time, and she's she's always turning her back on him. She's always like, yeah, giving the cold shoulder to him. She's indifferent towards him, and kind of she seems to be a bit, she's always like, why is he bugging me like this? But at times he's like very forceful and in your face, and you kind of wonder why. Now they do have some past between them, and this past gets better. They explore it a bit more in 5 and 6, which I think is about damn time, because I was getting a bit tired, because this basic story every time was Chateau gets into trouble, Ryangha rescues her. So that's basically the thing. She's always getting into trouble, and he always needs to save her butt. So that was kind of, it was a bit off-putting for me, and the thing that kept me going with this series is the hooks they gave us at the end of each volume. The cliffhangers sort of. I always went through this story wanting to know what is it in the past between Ryangha and Chateau. What is their past? Why is he always pursuing her? Why does he look out for her? And also there's the thing that Chateau doesn't remember much of her past, particularly her very young age. So there's something between them. So that gets further explored in volume 6. So we can see here, this is Ryangha when he looks to be much younger in this. So we get an idea of Ryangha's past as well. Not too much, just a bit. Now that, and it ends with a cliffhanger, and I'm like, I really want to read volume 7. So yeah. So far, romance-wise, it's pretty one-sided. She basically gives him the cold shoulder every turn of the page. But he is, persistence be said, Ryangha is persistent, okay? And I gotta give him credits for that, okay? But he sticks with her, and there's a bit of a turn in volume 6 in that for once she comes to his rescue. but in the end ends up having to being rescued by him again. So it's kind of push and go here, but I'm glad they're exploring their past. And now I can't wait for volume 7 because I want to know more about what's going on, and I do hope that this aspect of keeps going, because I keep thinking, when I finish it, I'm like, oh, I want to read the next volume. But it gives me a couple of days, I'm like, I don't know, do I really want to read it? But then when the new volume comes, I'm like, oh my god, I have to read this volume. And it's like a cycle like that for me, particularly with this series. And I don't know, for what they're doing to me, the way they keep me hooked, I will definitely follow on with this. I know the anime is out, and I'm debating on whether I should or should not watch the anime. You guys let me know in the comments. If you've seen the anime, do you think, is it a faithful, and read the manga, is it a faithful adaptation of the manga? Is it any good? I don't know whether it's started airing yet or not, but yeah, Love of Kill, I'm going to keep going at it, because it's got me hooked enough to want to read it, but I do want to see a bit more development, particularly me being the mushy romantic that I am. I do want to see more development in that. At the same time, I can't wait to see what it is that is the past between these two. So Love of Kill volume 5 and 6, I'm going to read it. I'm definitely going to continue collecting this, and on a personal level, if you'd ask me whether I'd recommend it or not, I'd say yeah, I'd recommend it. It's doing what it should do to me, and hence I would recommend it personally. So yeah, volumes 5 and 6 of Love of Kill. Now, next up, I have Vampire Dormitory, volumes 1, 2 and 3. Now, this is kind of like a guilty pleasure of mine. This is shoujo with vampires, and that is totally up my alley. I'm a sucker. Put vampires in anything and I will consume the heck out of it. I was a big fan of Buffy the Vampire Slayer growing up. So that self speaks a lot about me. I watched the anime Vampire Night. I wasn't very happy on how it ended. But yeah, I am the kind who thoroughly enjoys anything with vampires. Though, like I've said often, Twilight was just, I don't know, for some reason I never got into Twilight. I don't know why, because you think that's totally up my alley. But yeah, that aside, Vampire Dormitory is basically it's a guilty pleasure of mine. I read volumes 1, 2, 3. I binge read them this month. These are all I have right now. I think volume 4 is out, which I should be getting. But yeah, let me give you the basic story. So we've got our main lead girl. She does not have a good family situation. She's basically all alone in life, and she tends to pass herself off as a guy so that to avoid trouble for herself. But she's a girl, and she comes across this vampire, and he sees her, and he's like, okay, I'll make you a deal. If you'll be my thrall, my basic blood source actually, I will give you a place to stay. You can stay with me. I'll give you a place to stay. I'll take care of you. Now in this world, now this guy's a vampire. Now this world, the blood of a person who has been loved their entire life, who has been nurtured, who has been brought up in a loving family, in a loving environment, that person's blood tastes really sweet, like strawberries or something like that. So that's basically how that world works. And this guy, he tastes her blood and he's like, your blood it's just yuck. And he tells her, okay, you stay with me, become my primary blood source, and I will do everything in my power and shower you with affection and everything that you need, so that your blood becomes sweet to drink. Okay, but he is unaware that she's a girl. He thinks she's a guy, and he mainly approaches her because he's got this thing. He doesn't want to drink blood from any females. Okay, but so that's why he approaches her thinking she's a guy, and she moves into his dormitory. And things progress from there. And then we get a second character who comes in, who's got an enmity against him. He's got something against our lead guy, for reasons I'm not going to say because that's going to be a spoiler. And he becomes our second main lead. Basically, I think that's where it's headed. and he wants to protect her, but she's already developed feelings for our main vampire guy here. So that's how things are going. Now at the end of volume 3, she's living in this male dorm, and then none of these guys seem to figure out that she's a girl. Okay, by the end of volume 3, there's a big cliffhanger. Big thing happens where she gets discovered. So basically it's that story, and this is like crack for me. I thoroughly enjoy it. It's a guilty pleasure. I can't describe it as anything else. It's a guilty pleasure for me. If shoujo is your thing and romance and stuff like that, then give it a go. It's interesting. I will give it that. For me personally, with my trashy tastes, I enjoy it. I enjoy the heck out of it, and I can't wait to read volume 4. So Vampire Dormitories 1, 2 and 3, personally, give it a go. It's hell yeah, it's fun. So yeah. Next up in my reading log, I have Fire Force volume 18. Now this one, I am slowing down on reading this. I know this is in its final arc, and let me just have a look at this. Okay, so I just needed to have a flip through to remember where I was in this. So this series, this series seems to seesaw between too much fan service and just a compelling story. And in this thing, to begin with, this series, this volume has a heck of a lot of fan service. So I'm going to warn you off from that. Fire Force, it does not play, when it has fan service, it goes all out. So if that's not your thing, I'd say stay clear of fan service. Stay clear of Fire Force. But this volume starts off with a lot of heavy fan service, but then we get on to the meaty matter, and it goes, it went further than I ever thought it would go with respect to how dark it would get, particularly with the number of character deaths, side characters, but still, the thing is, it starts off with heavy fan service, but then we go through Maki's story. Sort of, Maki she's one of the main characters in Fire Force, in the 8th company. So she's one of the lead players there, and we get a bit of her backstory, her family dynamic and stuff like that. Then we go further, we return to the Nether. So we've got the 8th company along with some other fire soldiers and people going back to the Nether, and we've got one heck of a fight there that happens, and I gotta say, that fight, they went in places I did not expect them to go for a shonen series. It was a lot darker than I expected it. This series is sometimes so light-hearted. Sometimes it's just so wacky, ridiculous. And sometimes it's got a heaviness, a weight to it. It explores certain things that I didn't expect them to explore. Now, this series is done by the creator of Soul Eater, Atsushi Okubo. Now, I have not read Soul Eater, but from spoiler for those who... Now, I got spoiled as to particularly a certain part of this. Now, I'm wondering, moving further ahead with this series, considering... Okay, I'm going to give a spoiler. I don't know if this is a spoiler, but personally for me, it was a bit of a spoiler. So, I'm going to straight off tell you guys it's a spoiler. So, if you guys... don't want to be spoiled for this bit, just mute it for a couple of seconds till I finish, just for a couple of seconds, okay, starting from now. Okay, this series, I believe, is somehow linked to Soul Eater. So now I'm wondering, do I need to have read Soul Eater to get the entire gist of this or not? Okay, that's it, spoilers over. So moving forward, I don't know what to think of this. I'm enjoying this as a standalone series, but moving further ahead, I don't know. I really hope that it maintains its own self-image as such, and I hope I'm able to I hope it ends well. I hope it ends on a solid note, because from what I hear, this is going to be this mangaka's last works. He has said he's going to retire after doing this, so I really hope it ends on a smashing note. I hope it's an amazing swan song for him, and because that's what any mangaka wants. They want to retire with bangers of volumes of series under belt. So I hope it keeps its landing, but now I'm not so sure, like I said, having heard certain things about it. But on the whole, I want it, mystery wise, this keeps it going for me. I'm really interested in seeing what the evangelist is after, what the history or past of this world is, why it ended up the way it is, also what the evangelist is planning. So as a hook, like I said, it takes a hook to keep me, interested in a series. That way, this series has done its job. Interested in learning more and more, despite the fan service that basically for me particularly, it doesn't really bother me too much. But despite that, I keep going with this series because it keeps me hooked. This world of Fire Force where people have these powers, and let me talk about the power system. Each person has such a unique power, fire-based powers. It's really fascinating to watch and read. So if you like that, if you can look past heavy fan service in certain parts, give Fire Force a go. It's what I always say. If you can look past the fan service, Fire Force is a very compelling read, much more compelling, and in certain places darker than what you generally expect from a series like this. It's also very often very fun, very light-hearted, and the characters also are very lovable on their own. So yeah, give it a go. I will wait for the series to end before I even consider watching the anime. But yeah, Fire Force volume 18 personally would recommend. Next up, I have Eden Zero volume 15. So Eden Zero for me is personally a little bit, it's just a little bit better. It's a little bit better than Fairy Tail for me. And personally for me, I thoroughly enjoy Fairy Tail. I know it's many people crap on it. Many people don't like it, but I personally love Fairy Tail. I love the pairing of Natsu and Lucy. But I do believe I enjoy this series a bit more. I do watch the anime, but I'm not caught up to where the current episodes are in the anime, but I do thoroughly enjoy it. I do believe Rebecca's a bit of a better character than Lucy personally. So yeah, Eden Zero, this is Hiro Mashima's work. Now, Hiro Mashima, you gotta know something. He reuses a lot of his character designs. So a lot of his character designs are reused. Now, this particular volume, if you ask me, yes, it's a very good continuation to the series. The series continues forward. We've got Shiki. They find out why they've landed on this planet in which all the robots have gone berserk and they've taken the humans as slaves, and we find out why that's happening. Ziggy's got something to do with it, and our heroes basically need to free this planet, need to free the robots. Now they come across Justice and his crew also, and of course Elsie also makes an appearance. Now Elsie is a total Urza knockoff, but yeah, even her powers in this particular series are very similar, are pretty much the very same powers that Urza has. So yeah, so basically it's that we get a bit of a backstory between Clean and Jin, the duo that are currently on Eden Zero, who were at one point enemies of our main crew here. So we get a character from this main robot girl. I forgot her name. Hermit's Past. Yes, we get another character, a person who makes an appearance from Hermit's Past. So yeah. Now I am, like I said, I like Fairy Tail. I like Eden Zero a bit better. I do believe it's a bit better. It's got a bit of One Piece vibes to it also. Now personally, this is coming from a person who's not consumed much of One Piece. I think I've read just one omnibus, but from what I can see, the basic premise has a bit of One Piece vibe. But basically, if you want one word for it, it's Fairy Tail in space. Now one pet peeve I have about Eden Zero is that a lot of their characters are, the villains that happen, which is also concurrent thing that happens in Fairy Tail. It's that a lot of the villains end up becoming allies. So I know it's not a big problem, but when that continues with each and every villain, it kind of gives me, it gets a bit boring. But that's about the only pet peeve I have about Eden Zero. But if you like fairy tale, I'll always tell you, if you like fairy tale, you're gonna love Eden Zero. It's wacky, it's all out, it's got crazy fights and powers, and like I said, if fairy tale is your thing, Eden Zero is definitely you're definitely gonna enjoy it. Now, I haven't read Rave Master, and I know the volumes are very difficult to get your hands on, which is why I'm avoiding it. So I don't know if that follows the same trend as this, but I'd definitely suggest give it a go. It is some of Hiromashima's best work. So yeah, Eden Zero, I would personally definitely recommend it. Give it a go. Shonen, action heavy stuff is kind of your thing. Ridiculousness, of course. One thing with Hiromashima's work, also a similar problem with Fire Force, is like Rebecca and all. Basically, there's a heck of a lot of fan service when it comes to the character of Rebecca, just as in Fairy Tail there's a heck of a lot of it when it comes to Lucy. So yeah, get past that. But Eden Zero is a fun read. Give it a go. Next up, also another series I binge read was I'm the Villainess, So I'm Taming the Final Boss, volumes 1, 2 and 3. Oops, it's not out of order. Okay, volumes 1, 2 and 3. Now this is the entirety of the series. It's only a 3-volume series. I do believe there's a light novel. I did go the manga route because it's a short series. It is a small time investment. But I loved this. I thought our main character, the main female, I forgot her name. What's her name? Aileen. Yes, I thought she is so adorable. Okay, so basically, I don't have many isekai series in my collection, but this is one of them. I didn't want to go all out in a very long running series, so I went in for this. This is the first isekai I've ever had, and I thoroughly enjoyed my time with this. So basically, we have our main character here. Now, in real life, she's a sickly person, and she gets reincarnated into this villainess's body. And she's the villainess of this otome game that this sickly young girl read. And she knows that at the end, she's going to be killed by the final boss, who is the demon lord. That's this guy right here. So she decides, okay, I know what flags I need to avoid. I know what I need to do. So I know how basically the storyline of this game, I know how the paths are going to be along. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to woo the final boss and make him fall in love with me so that I don't end up dying. So at first she's just using this dude. She's just using the demon lord. And the demon lord also, we find out, is pretty misunderstood. Okay, he's a really misunderstood guy. He's a really sweet guy under it all. So originally she starts off, she just wants to use him so that she doesn't end up dying. And at the end, they really do fall in love. And he really cares about her in his own way. And how she befriends all his servants and his assistants and all that. And how she basically charms them all. I gotta say, the heroine of the character, the girl who play in the game, who's the heroine, she is also has been reincarnated into this world. So she also knows the basic routes that the game is going to follow. So she is also there. So she's not exactly the most lovable character, gotta straight out say. So that's also playing a route there. And I gotta say, I hate the guts of the guy who is supposed to be the hero of the thing, the prince, I definitely love these two as a couple. I think they are just adorable. I enjoyed this. I was having a doubt whether isekai is kind of my thing, but I liked this. It's kind of encouraged me to get into more isekai, particularly this villainous trope sort of thing. So yeah, if it's a small series, isekai, or let's just say isekai, let me put it out in the ether there. If you guys have any recommendations for me, isekai wise, that you think I may enjoy, please hit me up in the comments and let me know. Because after reading this, I gotta say, it tickles my fancy. I'm interested in this genre as a whole. First off, I thought this is not the genre for me, but you know what? I'm gonna give more isekai manga a go. So yeah, I am the Villainess, so I'm Taming the Final Boss. I highly recommend it. Check it out. It's only 3-volume series, so it's not much of an investment. Give it a go. I thoroughly suggest it. Now, the last item in this reading log is the Record of Ragnarok, Volume 1. Now, I have heard tons and tons and tons about this particular series on Mangagram, by manga tubers on Twitter. I've heard a lot about this. The hype has been a lot. So I was like, okay, I'm going to give this a go. I've heard it's fun. It's a tournament series. Now I've got to straight out tell you guys, who basically doesn't like tournament arcs that much. I don't know why. I really don't know why. It's a personal thing of mine, but tournament arcs, they're my least favorite arcs in most series. Okay, that's kind of the reason why I'm not so interested in Shaman King, is mainly because it's basically tournament. Another reason why I was hesitant on Record of Ragnarok. So, I read this series. I read Volume 1. I've heard you must not, better not to watch the anime that's out on Netflix. Check out the manga. So, I did check out Volume 1. Okay. I don't know personally where I stand with this. There were parts of, this is like absolutely total nonsensical fun. Things happen in this that are so nonsensical, but I enjoyed it. I don't know why. This is so trashy but I still enjoyed it so much. I was like, okay, it's a tournament arc. They're going to fight. What's going to happen? But I enjoyed it. This is so outrageous in a lot of the things. So basically, we've got a fight between Thor and Lubu. Now, personally, I don't know much about Lubu historically. I love history personally. So I am going to check up more about Lubu, what he is as a character historically. So he is pitted against Thor. So basically, okay, I am sorry. I jumped ahead of myself. I did not tell you guys the synopsis of the basic series. So we've got a series. The gods are fed up with humanity. So all the gods from all the pantheons meet and they vote and decide to do away with humanity. Like they're like, let's get rid of all the humans and start new sort of thing. So they all vote. But then we've got this one lady, Brunhild. She's a Valkyrie and she brings forth the small loophole they've got. And so basically what it boils down to is humanity needs to fight for their survival. So they need to pick the top human warriors to go up against the top the warrior gods. Okay, so we've got in our first fight Thor versus Lubu. Now I am personally a big MCU fan and I love the Thor character in MCU, particularly in Ragnarok. Okay, I thoroughly enjoy Thor in Ragnarok. Personally, I favor Loki a lot more. Okay, I think Tom Hiddleston as Loki is just amazing. It's an amazing villain and I thoroughly love Thor Ragnarok. But I digress. Thor in this is very different and I thought the design for Mjolnir, his hammer, is also very different from what we are used to, the Mjolnir in the MCU. So that was very interesting and it kind of ends off on a, not exactly a cliffhanger, but the fight between these two is from what I thought it was over. I was like, oh, that's the end. But apparently it's not. It continues in Volume 2. And the fight in Volume 2 is between Zeus and Adam. Now that's a very intriguing, Adam as in Adam and Eve as in the Garden of Eden. So that's an intriguing concept. I'm like, how the hell is Adam? And from the cover, I've seen Adam's the skinny dude with an apple in his mouth, and Zeus is this big guy. He looks like in his appearance in the beginning of Record of Ragnarok is like a skinny old man, but then he beefs up. He's like this really Charlie character, He's like a really muscled guy, and I'm like, how the hell is Adam gonna beat Zeus? So that in itself is gonna make me buy Volume 2. But on the whole, Volume 1 I had fun with. And I gotta put it out there to you guys, Aphrodite. The character design of Aphrodite, particularly with her. Okay, if you've read this volume, okay, Aphrodite and her servants. Yeah, that was hilarious. I looked at that, I was like, oh, I get it. I get why this is so damn funny. So anyway, Record of Ragnarok, just out of the basic silliness, the absolutely ridiculous fights, I'm gonna read this because I am interested. How are humans who are basically nothing compared to gods? How the hell are they going to beat the gods? How is it going to match up? So yeah, I'm gonna keep up with Record of Ragnarok. The artwork is amazing in this series. I wish I could show you some of the artwork, but I've heard of copyright issues coming out of certain places, so I'm really not gonna risk it. But the artwork's crazy, man, in this. So definitely, if fighting is your, like buffed up dudes fighting each other in crazy battles with crazy powers and stuff like that, if that's your deal, give Record of Ragnarok a go. It's fun to watch. It's the kind of story in which you leave your brains behind. You just do not bring them to worry when you are reading this. It's not the most intellectual of stuff. So yeah, I definitely suggest give Record of Ragnarok a go. I certainly am, and unexpectedly I really enjoyed my time with this. So yeah, those are all the volumes I read. Now let me just count them up. I read 16 volumes of Tokyo Ghoul. 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23, 24, 25, 26, 27. Yes, 27 volumes I managed this month. I'm kind of sad that I didn't manage to hit my target of 30 and 30. But yeah, I want to read a heck of a lot more in May, hopefully. May's manga haul is gonna be a bit on the less side, but a lot of stuff April I've carried over to May, so there's going to be something. So I'm guessing June's going to be a lot of a lighter haul than May will be. So yeah, so do wait for those. I will put them out. And before I go, you guys, I have read these volumes and I had fun with a lot of them. Some of them were like, but on the whole, I enjoyed most of what I read thoroughly, as you could clearly see from my video. And if you want to hear more from me, check me out on social media, on Instagram, Twitter, Facebook. Links are in the description down below. My handles are also up on the screen right now, so do check them out. Can't wait to hear from you guys. Hit me up in the comments. Like I always say, it makes my day to hear from you guys. It's really fun to meet other people who are so interested in this genre, this niche selective community on the internet. Because personally, as myself, I don't have anyone in my circle whom I can talk about just this otaku stuff and nerdy stuff with. So yeah, it's fun talking to you guys, and I love hearing from you. It makes me feel so happy. So hit me up on all that. My email is also up on the screen, so you can hit me up on email. It's simply on mercy@funny-pajamas.com. pajamas with a Y. Please do hit me up. That's all I have for you right now. This manga haul was this reading log was a bit longer than my usual ones. I did rant on and on about certain things, so I really apologize for that. I had read a few bangers of volumes, stuff that I highly recommend, stuff not so much. But yeah, I'm gonna end it with that. I'm not gonna talk on more. This is Mercy signing out. Bye. That's all for now. Have a good one, everyone. See you in the next one. Bye, guys.